to present about the trends of cartography, how the cartography changes with the time. So without wasting any time, let's begin with the presentation. So what is cartography? As we all know, we all are almost geographers. So the cartography is basically the art and science of graphically representing your geographical area. It usually on the flat surface or a map or a chart. So how the cartography changes with the time. What are the temporal trends of cartography? So multiple ages involved in these changing. So it was the first one is from the early age, from where the first cartography has started, and then now we are in the modern age. So what happened in between? How there is a lot of change or transitions are there. So first one is early age. How was the cartography in the early age? What were they using? How they were getting the data and all the things that is involved in the process of cartography, the data analyzation, how they are doing it, processing it, how they are then presenting it on a map. What were the tricks and methodologies, what they are doing? So in the early age, usually the maps of the early age are known as Babylonian maps, and they have a very relatively advanced culture, and they developed written language in 4000 before Common Era and well-defined measurement system. They were using Pythagoras theorem almost 1000 years before the Pythagoras theorem. Now we are using it. They were using it before, when no one knows about that. So used a sexagesimal number system and divided the circle into 360 degrees. Next we have maps. The Gasgir map and the statue of Prince Godia. The Gasgir maps, as we mentioned in the previous slide, it's from the 4000 before Common Era. This is 2300 before Common Era. As you all know, I don't think so. I need to repeat it again that before Common Era, the number goes the backward side. So mountains, watercourse, places names was first known example of a topographic map labeled with cardinal directions. So this was the first known map, topographical map, which was made in the early age. Next we have statue of Prince Godia, and it was the first map with the bar scale. Next we Then we have Babylonian maps. It's the place at Babylon and Euphrates. The area was visited, the lands were visited by legendary heroes, and they use a reference of four winds and four directions at that time. Next, we have Then in early age we have Greek maps, that we have world map that shows the description of systematic description of world, and then we have world map of Eratosthenes around 220 before Common Era. He was known as the father of scientific cartography, and he was the first one to calculate Earth's circumference. Next we have We have Ptolemy's world map, the world map for over 1000 years, and his world map depicted the old world from about 60 degree north to 30 degrees south latitudes, and he wrote mostly the monumental work, The Guide to Geography, that is Geographic Hypothesis, which reminded an authoritative reference on world geography until the Renaissance. Then we have this is the Greek maps of Ptolemy's projection, that is 150 Common Era, and this is basically they're using conic projection and pseudo-conic projection and presenting the Earth. This one is the Ptolemy's regional map, the large-scale maps of smaller regions. This version produced during the Renaissance during the woodcut techniques. The one thing is the Greek maps of the Ptolemy world map was remained as truth until the Renaissance, and because it was basically the mostly the scientific based. Have Roman maps. So Roman maps was from the 335 Common Era. They were 22 feet long and 1 feet wide. They were used with the written every symbology is there, and entire Roman road network is laid out as a parallel routes. It extends into the Asia and North Africa. Then we have early age Chinese maps. The stone map of China around 1140 Common Era. Engraved stone maps were transferred to paper by ink rubbing, used to educate school children and emperors of that time. Highly accurate representations of rivers and locations. Graticule squares represent 3,300 miles and represents a cartographic sophistication unknown in the West at that time. Then we have some, as China is known for the silk, so we have silk map of China of 1470 CE. They used to use the silk to demonstrate the new Confucian dynasties, that is cosmic legitimacy, and the Korean spans to Europe. Then the paper map of China used for bureaucratic control of the empire beginning in the 7th century. Yellow River, that is Honghu River, and the Great Wall of China were shown in the paper map. Then we have early age Japanese maps. The clouds were used to compress distance or time, and you can see the map below. Now we have Middle Age, that is the medieval age of cartography. So, Middle Ages Muslim maps. What were the contribution of Muslims in the cartography? So there is one, that is Al-Idrisi's world map in 1154. It was based on Ptolemy principles but incorporating Islamic characters. Um, for his map, it was south at the top, and then we have um, in Al-Idrisi or Ibn Battuta, there were only numerous studies and methodologies to draw a system of meridians and parallels that helped greatly to the evolution of science of cartography like those created by Ibn Battuta. Then we have Al-Gharib's world map in 1481. It reflects religious views of 10th century Islam. The Makkah was centered in his map, and again the south was at the top. Then we have European maps. That Mappamundi maps refers to medieval European world maps in general. Um, the Mappamundi maps is famous for being both the biggest medieval map remaining in existence and one of the most intricately designed and colored. The map's image is basically circular here with Jerusalem in the center, and the Garden of Eden in a ring of fire near the top, and the entire thing oriented with the east at the top. One peculiar aspect of this map is that Europe is labeled as Africa and vice versa. Although the map appears circular circular, scholars do not believe it proves that mapper believed in a flat world. Instead, the Hereford Mappamundi is commonly recognized as the form of projections with the map excluding the inhospitable regions to the south and north. Then we have European maps, the Salter maps, and the Portolan chart. A less obvious TO map T of map means the O of that map is showing the circle, and T is showing the division between the continents, and usually they're showing the Christian sign mostly. So again, the Psalter map is having Jerusalem at the center, and the biblical stories around, and the Christ at the top and holding a TO globe. Red Sea is in the red. So we can say that if it's Red Sea, they are showing mostly the part of Africa and Europe. So then we have a Bertollan chart. We have sea chart that began the tradition of orienting maps with north at the top. Radiating lines correspond to compass directions but were identified by wind directions. So the Portolan chart was very expensive at that time, but there were errors in the maps. So the luxury edition of these maps were sold to the ones who are wealthy, and scenes on land were partially based in truth and partially in there was a myth in the stories. Renaissance age. The Renaissance age, after 1000 years, Ptolemy is rediscovered in Europe, and they just started revisioning the previous maps in this age. Renaissance age European maps, we have Roseli world map and Appian's world map. Here you can see the pictures below. Here Walsimol world's map and Ortiel's world map. You can see the pictures below. And it was the first name to America, the first one, and the second one is the modern atlas. We have age of exploration. We have Danish map and Hondia's world map. Both are different and unique in its own. The first map is high accuracy of detail and published in the 11th volume of Atlas, major containing the work of 100 people. And the second one is the Renaissance map and reissued in the Mercator's Atlas. Then we have in the age of exploration East India maps, the Great Trigonometrical Survey in 1837, funded by the East India Company, built from a single baseline. George Jeffreys completed the central spine. Next we have Then we have in the age of exploration early thematic maps. Thematic mapping is only about 300 years old, were primarily in Europe, and then the conjunction with the new statistical tools to describe the world, the physical world, the trained winds, the magnetic declination, topography, etc. were shown in these thematic maps. And the social world, the population, disease, and ethnicities, etc. We were using thematic maps nowadays a lot. Next we have in the thematic maps, we have Halley's wind map, the first weather map, and Halley's declination map, the first isogones and in the variations in magnetism. These are the maps. Here, the early thematic maps, we have Smith's geological map and harness transportation map. Then we have Montezon's population map and D'Angeville population map, the early choropleth map. The tone value relationship is reversed and shown in these thematic maps. Then we have Peterman's cholera map and Pritchard's ethnographic map. They both were unique in its own. Burgos' ideal geological cross-section map and Menard's immigration flow map. You can see how beautiful they are. Then we have Greek maps, Desiderus world map, third century of before Common Era, first meridian and parallel diaphragma encircling ocean gone for now. An explosion of geographic information occurred during Hellenistic times, and Alexander's exploits produced volumes of information. Next, we have modern age, modern age maps. Yeah, now we are in modern era technological maps. We are using technologies, we are using GIS, we are using remote sensing, we are using multiple platforms to get the data and we are making the maps. So modern cartography found a vital tool in the use of computers and of peripheral gadgets that we are so familiar with, like plotters, printers, scanners, image processing, spatial analysis, database software. We are using softwares. ADAS is here, ArcGIS is here. We are using like on a large scale, we are making maps. Today, our research is nothing without having maps in it. So we are in the modern era. So here it's JS platforms we are using initially in the 1980s provide tools for high-level scientific analysis and data visualization. Advanced tools, these are the advanced tools, the GPS and the drone and everything. We are getting data from the very height. Next we have, now as we all know, the satellites are the major thing. We are getting the imagery, satellite imageries from the satellites, and that is the remote thing that we are getting data from the very height to track weather, to track any other thing. We are getting each and every detail because of these satellites. Then we have spatial intelligence and the 3D modeling, that is LiDAR, one of the modern cartography tools in integral to creating 3D maps and models. It relies on the laser light to measure the distance. This is the world map. This is a GIS analysis based world map. We use different images from the satellites. We are using different data from the satellites, and we are after the remote sensing, we are using the different softwares to analyze this data, and we are presenting a beautiful map here because of the modern technologies. Now, cartography is very important in our lives, as without maps and without any information. If previously there was no cartography, we can't understand what was the history of our ancestors, from where they travel, from now where they're settling. So these are the things we get the extract the information from these maps. So cartography is very important in our lives, and with the time, with the advancement technologies, cartography is also getting advanced, and different softwares and different techniques we are using nowadays to make our mapping a very good mapping. So I hope you enjoyed the history of cartography, and we will soon meet in another session when we're gonna have it. So till now, take care. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.